Hey guys, how you doing today? This is David Lucas back here. Welcome back to my channel. Now, today we're going to finally be reviewing Star Wars: A New Hope or just Star Wars. Now, I usually prefer to call it Star Wars, but it's mostly widely known nowadays as Star Wars: A New Hope. This one is the Star Wars movie that I really like a lot. This is probably my personally second favorite best Star Wars movie. This was the film that I think that completely revolutionized the film industry. This is a film that opened the doors and the gates for new filmmakers to come in, for new ideas and new ways to just filmmake in the industry. It basically just changed it all and revolutionized it all, and is what made it basically the industry that we know it is nowadays. It all has to start with this movie, Star Wars, the very first one. George Lucas just knocked it out of the park with this. I think this is probably one of the greatest movies ever made, one of them. It inspires me. It inspires me throughout most of my whole life. It inspires me to want to make films. It inspired me to love films in the very first place. I can go on and on and on about this film. So I'm trying to get right to the review. Well, like most of my reviews, I usually do the negatives first, and then I go to the positives to end it on a good note. There's not really much negatives to this film at all. There's maybe like a few nitpicks to it, but really there's not much really to complain about. For an example, one of my big problems with this, really a nitpick, is a big nitpick, is that Uncle Owen doesn't remember C-3PO or R2-D2. When in episode 2, they were with them, they were together and they seen each other and they actually talked and communicated in episode 2. Which I know that this was made before episode 2 was, because episode 2 is a prequel. But still, it's kind of, I don't know, it always kind of bothers me when he doesn't really know them. Same thing with Obi-Wan Kenobi. He says he doesn't really remember owning a droid, but he did own a droid, and he did know R2-D2 and R4 back in the prequels. So that stuff doesn't really make continuity sense, I guess, but it doesn't. It's basically a nitpick. It doesn't really destroy the whole movie. There's still some cheesy dialogue in there. There's some scenes in there that just really seem like they're trying to be funny, but it doesn't really land. It's just some scenes are in there goofy. It doesn't really overlap the good things in the movie, which I'm about to go into right now, because there are so many positives to this movie. Right off the bat, I gotta say the opening scene to this movie is probably some of the greatest opening scenes in any Star Wars movie. And maybe in any movie in general. It's so good. We started out in this movie with two droids, two robots basically, that has never been done before in 1977. It was never done. He ended up coming and doing it. George Lucas came and did that, and I think that was a big risk and a big ballsy move that he did, and it works, and it's so awesome that our introduction to this universe is with two droids, two people who are not humans. I think that it's such a awesome way to take it. And I'm so glad that it worked out, because that was another scene. Like I say, this movie changed film. And that one scene right there was a scene that really did change film forever, I think. Now, Darth Vader's entrance in that scene, oh my god, his entrance is so badass. One of the most badass, iconic intros in, I think, in any character in any movie. He has all of his stormtroopers shoot down all the rebellion soldiers. And then when they're all done shooting them down, you just see Darth Vader walking in from the smoke, doesn't say a word, just looks down at the dead soldiers on the ground, looks forward, and just walks, and his soldiers just follows him, marching forward. It's just such a badass intro. Him choking out one of the rebel captains, and he just basically throws him, and I love it. I think Darth Vader is just an awesome, iconic character, and this scene, the very first scenes with him, just prove it that he is the most iconic character, and I think in film history, in my opinion. And now in this film, we are introduced to our main character of the whole Star Wars series, Luke Skywalker. The introduction of Luke, I personally love. Like I said in the beginning, some people complain that he's a little bit of an annoying brat at first, but I think that's good. I think that's good that he's like a 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid. He's trying to leave his house, leave his home. He doesn't want to follow in his uncle's footsteps. He wants to move on and join the rebellion and fight against the Empire. And I love that. And he's a little of an annoying asshole at first. And I think that works perfectly for him. Because he's at that age and at that stage of life. And it just works perfectly for him. That's how we get introduced to him. And throughout the movie, we end up having a character development of him growing up and starting becoming the man who we end up eventually seeing him to be. And I think that was just done really, really well. That twin sun scene with Luke is so amazing. Oh, one of the best shot scenes in any Star Wars movie, with Luke just standing on the hill looking at the suns, and you see the sun starting to set, both of the twin suns staring off to the sky. It was such a beautiful scene, and every time I watch it, I just cannot take my eyes off it. I just look at it with glory. Another introduction to this film is Alec Guinness as old Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, I gotta say, I love Alec Guinness's old Obi-Wan Kenobi. I like him better than even Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think old Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the best characters in any Star Wars film. Probably in any film, too. I hear a lot about this. There's a lot of best of almost any film, because the first Star Wars film was just amazing. I think he's probably one of the most interesting characters. I love how when he explains to Luke some of the past with the Clone Wars and the Jedi, and tells him a little bit about his father, Anakin Skywalker, and explains a little bit about Darth Vader, which we eventually know some of it is not true, some of it is true, what he's saying. Acting that he does in here, the character development in Obi-Wan, and it's just, and that's what I gotta say too, the acting in this one is phenomenal with Obi-Wan. I think Alec Guinness's portrayal as him is just so magnificent, and I think he did such a good job with him. Peter Cushing's as Tarkin, Grand Moff Tarkin, is just, oh my god, what I gotta say, one of the greatest villains ever. He's just completely amazing, menacing in every scene he's in. He's even bossing Darth Vader around in some scenes. In some scenes, you see Darth Vader choke at one of the Imperial officers or generals, and Tarkin just tells him, Vader, release him. Why even touch him? Release him. And Vader listens to him. And Darth Vader is actually listening to this guy. Darth Vader, a man who can control the dark side of the Force, is listening to Tarkin. And that just proves how much of a badass Tarkin is. And if that doesn't prove how much of a badass he destroyed an entire planet. Alderaan. He destroyed an entire planet. And without the even authority of the Emperor, he did this without the authority of the Emperor. Now, if that doesn't prove his authority, then I don't know what does. But Tarkin is just an amazing villain. I also really like the character development in Han. I think the character development in him is just really good. Starts out with him basically an asshole. He's an asshole, he's a scoundrel, he's just in it for money. That's really all he cares about, is getting his money. Then he's just off. He doesn't care about helping the rebellion, doesn't care about fighting the Empire. And then throughout the movie, he ends up growing as a person, ends up actually caring for Luke and Leia. He ends up at the ending helping them out, save the day. And I love that. I love that they helped him out at the end of the day. And I love that he ended up having this character development where he became more human and more good. And he wasn't as much of a bad guy. Because in the beginning of it, he was very much of a bad guy. I mean, he shot Greedo first. And I don't care what George Lucas says, Han shot Greedo first. Now, a lot of people actually don't like this. But I gotta say, I love the fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. I think that fight scene between the two is just so magnificent. Yes, it's not the best choreographed. It's not them jumping around. It's just them winging their lightsaber. But I love it. I love the dialogue they have between each other. You get that there is some history between them. You know that there is something else between them that we don't know about yet. And I just thought that whole scene was just done really good. And Alec Guinness's performance again just knocks it out of the park with it. I really enjoy that ending space battle too. I usually don't enjoy the space battles as much in the Star Wars movies. But I actually really did enjoy this one. I thought this one was done really good pace, really good amount of people talking back and forth, good amount of action back and forth. I thought this time was done really good. And I loved the ending when Luke finally destroys the Death Star with Han's help. And I thought it just all came around as a good film and a good ending to it. At the end of the day, I'm going to have to give Star Wars A New Hope, or just Star Wars, a 9 out of 10. It's a great film. What can I say? I probably said everything that everyone else has said about this film. Hopefully some more. Hopefully you guys enjoy this review. Let me know what you guys thought about Star Wars in the comment section down below. And let me know what you thought about this review. If you enjoyed, make sure you like this video. And also while you're at it, subscribe for more. See you guys later.